Right fellas, I am restoring the underside of my Escort Cosworth and I got a price for some new rear drive shafts and there was a fortune. It was like £300 each, so £600 for two. So I went on eBay and I've ordered some parts and I'm going to have a go at rebuilding them myself. So let's see if we can do it. So this is the original drive shaft. I don't think it's ever been off the car and you can see it's all rusty. It is also covered in underseal as someone has undersealed the car and left the drive shafts in place, so these drive shafts need refurbishing. I can't put these back on the car in this state. So to begin with, we're going to remove this small rusty clip that holds the boot to the shaft of the drive shaft. Now I have never stripped a drive shaft before in my life and I've certainly never rebuilt one, so hopefully in this video we can make a good job of it. Next we'll move to this big clip that holds the boot to the universal joint. Then with the clips off we can pull the boot away from the joint and see what's inside. And to get the boot off I'm going to cut it off with a nice sharp Stanley knife blade. Then next we'll remove these spreader plates and bolts that hold the drive shaft to the diff in the centre of the car, and they also hold it to the hub on the outside of the car. Then we'll flip the drive shaft over and we'll do exactly the same on the other end. We'll start by removing the small rusty clip. Once that's off we'll go to the big one that holds the top of the boot to the universal joint. Then we'll take the boot off and cut it off. With the boot out the way we can then remove the bolts and the spreader plates like we've just done on the other end. Then to remove this universal joint from the shaft we're going to remove this small clip. Then as you can see, thankfully the shaft is all good. We are going to replace these universal joints, so these will go in the bin. So with the shaft away from the universal joints we need to clean it up. This is a main part we need to keep from these drive shafts. And it's absolutely minging. It's full of underseal and rust, so I took it in the back garden with a knotted wire wheel on an angle grinder and cleaned it up the absolute best I could. I removed every bit of underseal and rust I possibly could. And there we go fellas, all the rust is removed, so let's now mask up the ends so we can paint the shafts and get them looking factory fresh. Before I apply any paint I'm going to put some epoxy etch primer on so the paint gets a good grip and doesn't come off when we're driving the car. Now the colour I've chose to paint the drive shafts is a satin black. So it's not a gloss, it's not like a shiny black, and it's not a matte, so it's not like a dull finish. It's somewhere in between. It's a satin finish. Once I'd painted the shafts of the drive shafts, I left them to dry for about 2 days in the garage, so the paint is fully cured. Now let's get on with the rebuild. So we'll start by removing the masking tape I put on to keep the splines clear from the paint. Get a knife under there, we'll get it going. And you can see we've kept the splines nice and clear from the paint. So we'll just quickly take it off this end as well, because obviously there's two ends to a drive shaft. There we go. Two nice clean ends. Right, now from eBay we've got two new joints. So we'll open one, I'll show you what's in. So in the box you get a new CV boot with the metal part on, the clips over the joint. We've got a new circlip and two new clamps for the, then in here got the joint, all brand new, you can see there, nice and clean and shiny. And obviously it comes with some grease to lube it all up. So I'm going to start by putting a little bit of oil on the shaft. This is just engine oil and it just helps the rubber boot slide over when it eventually comes. There we go. So we'll just get a bit of oil on there. Then next we'll put the boot on. There we go, it's going in. See the shaft there coming through the boot. So we'll push it through like that. Then we're going to put this on, but this goes with the groove to the boot, so it all locks into place. So you don't want that groove that way in the OD of there, you want it that way. So we'll put a little bit of grease in. So we'll put some grease in there, get it all in the bearings. Now remember, these drive shafts don't move that fast, there's no real movement in them, just mainly with your suspension as it goes up and down. And with this bag that came with the shafts, I'm just going to poke the grease in. And we'll put a little bit, this is the outer side, so I'm not going to put as much in because it'll just get all over. But we'll put a little bit in there. Yet again on all the bearings. Then with what's left in the packet, I'm just going to squirt it in the boot because it'll all just get in there eventually. We'll just squirt what's left straight in the boot. You see there, all the grease in the boot. Then we'll just put this on there. I'll try not to get the grease all over because it's messy. And that just stays on there like that. And when you put your screws in the back there, it goes through and clamps it all up. But next we need to get the circlip on the end of the shaft. So we've got our clip on us. Fuck did that go? So we've got our clip on our circlip pliers. So we'll get it on there, holding it flat against the shaft. Then we'll just push it on with these clips. There we go. Now in place. And to keep it all tidy while we do the back end, I'm going to put it in this bag so the grease doesn't go all over. This is just the bag what came with the shafts, the joint. Only thing left to do on this end is to put this circlip on there. So we'll go from the back end of the drive shaft, drop it along. Then this clip has got little teeth in that click into here. So we want to get as tight as we can at first with the teeth. Then we've got these special tools that I got for eBay, I'll leave them linked below. These are designed to clamp these clamps. So we'll give that a squeeze. And you'll see it'll just clamp the rubber all the way around. Oh. Like that. Right, so there's that end done. Keep it in the bag to stop the grease getting all over the place. And we'll flip it over and we'll do this side. Now this side is pretty much the same as the other side except for one important difference, which I'll show you. Before you do anything, all the same parts. I'll leave a link to all the bits what I've used if you've got lucky enough to have a Cosworth and you want to do this yourself. So before you do anything on this end, you want to put this clamp on because it's no good when you get it all built up. Then you can't get this on. So we'll put this on first, slide it over. I mean, in theory you could just kind of open it up and bend it on, but you're better off doing it before everything's built. Get the new joint out, slice the bag open. There we go, plenty of grease. We'll flip it over and we'll do this side. Then we'll get our boot on. Same again, I put a bit of oil on here just to help it slide on. Push it down. The boot on, we'll just put the rest of the grease in the boot. Then we'll get this on. Then we'll get the circlip on the end of the pliers When you squeeze these pliers, you can see it opens a clip to get on the shaft. So we'll just get that on there. Then with this screwdriver, I'm just going to push this clip into place. Like that. Come back to this little clip. I need to put this on to stop the grease flying out when we're bombing down the motorways. Check it on all the way around, which it is. Then we'll get our pliers and just nip that little clamp up. Now with the drive shafts built up and looking mint, we're going to get them on the car. But before we do anything, I'm going to get this M10 tap and I'm going to clean out all the threads where the drive shaft bolts to. It makes the job of putting the drive shafts back in and bolting the car back together a lot easier when you've got nice clean threads. And what the tap is doing is basically just cleaning the thread. It's removing any dirt, any paint, anything that's in the threads, and it makes putting new bolts in so much easier. This is just a standard M10 tap. You can see how much rust and dust and junk comes out the thread just there on the axle end of the car. Once all the threads are clean, we'll then put the drive shaft in place. And I've got some new spreader plates from SierrasRUs, and I've also got some new bolts, and we're going to put a little bit of low strength Loctite on to prevent the drive shaft coming loose when we're driving the car. And altogether there's 12 bolts and 6 spreader plates on each drive shaft to put them back on the car. Now before I put them back on the car, I did add a lot more grease to the CV joints, and you can see when I've finished bolting it up, it spreads out the side. Right, so the last job is to tighten these up. Now they have got Loctite on and they're only M12 bolts, so we're not going to go mega tight, we're just going to give them a good tighten, so hopefully they don't come loose when we're driving the car. That's everything tight, so we'll just wipe the excess grease off that's squirted out the sides, and that is that job done. That is it, fellas. Thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed that, and if you want to see more Cosworth content, don't forget to subscribe, and I'll see you on the next video.